on a Dope and Tape show.
What's
Joe,
up? What's up? Tell me
So
your name and then kind of what you're doing in the construction industry.
you want me to dive right into it?
you can just dive
Get
right
into
into it,
it.
Joe. Give us a
Like,
little,
what's
give
your
us a little
what's your
background.
role?
Sure. How are y'all doing? My name's Joe Kelly. I hate the bios, but real quick, background was a superintendent for large GC, doing mostly like high-rise work. Then I became a building inspector in the city of Boston. That kind of got me into the code side of things. Went to this trade association, the Association of General Contractors, handled all their kind of code related items, and then went out on my own. And now I do building zoning, fire code consulting, and education for construction companies. I do a lot of, maybe where Bobby and I originally crossed paths was probably the content around NFPA 241, which is construction fire safety. Do a lot of that. A few of the guys that follow my content was like, hey, you should check out this guy over here. One of them, I think he's out from your way, Dan Creed. He's a
Oh yeah,
Leominster Leominster Call firefighter, but also works for Walsh Brothers, a general contractor. I think that's where the
Wow.
overlap was. And then I
very good
started,
friend of mine.
oh, I didn't know it. And then I started watching Bobby's content and shooting him some messages. And now I'm here.
And
Wow.
we're
Man,
live on
that's
the show,
awesome.
baby. I'm posting. Everything looks like it's running good. If you're watching us live, you're watching the replay. We always appreciate it. Thank you so much.
What's the GC life like on
The GC life, like on high rises, you cut out a little bit there.
yeah, when you're running high-rise jobs?
It's a lot, man.
Um, it's a lot.
Man,
It is
I
a
just
lot.
imagine that's just like either stressful or just a lot and just kind of or I mean,
It's how you
it's a
handle
lot
it. I mean,
regardless.
I deal
But
with every type of those kinds. What do you think,
Yeah,
Joe?
um, and being completely honest, like I loved it. It's certainly high. I was. This sounds like I'm like patting myself on the back, but I was good at it. So what it would work is when you'd have a building, it would get divvied up because not one person can run the whole thing. There'd be a general super, and then you'd get areas. So I would be on jobs, and if you get shit done, they give you more work. So I just kept getting more and more piled on, and then I started getting migraines because I think I was
oh
too
man.
young. I was too young, and I didn't know that everybody's on top of you. Like if this isn't done by Thursday, we're behind schedule. We're gonna fucking lose money. This and that, and you're not old enough to know. Like, listen, the world doesn't end
Yeah.
if it
Oh,
doesn't get done
yeah.
on Thursday. You know,
You take a
but
lot
when
of
you
pride in making those dates, though, man.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you have all these people that you respect and that are doing some pretty amazing things, and you don't want to let them down. And
And the
uh,
subs are ruthless, huh?
subs are ruthless, but I like I. But the thing was, like, I had great relationships with the subs,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I think like if you make a conscious effort as a general contractor to set them up for success, they'll get your back like you wouldn't believe. The amount of times subs have bailed me out, you know, it's countless, both from like a work perspective and even just like job site um, bullshit,
Yeah. No,
right?
you're spot on with that.
And there was just one job I was on, and the electrician, I don't know why, like this entire company, I think they looked for assholes to hire. And I don't know why. Like it's very rare that I dislike somebody on a job site. And
Right.
I really disliked a couple of these individuals just because they
There's
were just
always,
nasty
yeah, there's
people.
always some that are just, you know,
Yeah, they wanted to fuck you. And like I was like, why do you want to go through life like that? But long story short, so I was doing the steel and concrete on this one high rise, and we were up on like the 14th or 18th floor. And you know how, like, I don't know if you've done it ever, but like all the mechanical trades will sleeve the decks before they pour. Right.
yeah,
So we just had like a system. And there was this
Right.
one area where it was a cantilever and all this heavy rod had to go in. And we had a thing where everybody's material would get flown up. It would land at a certain place. We'd put the rod in. Then you'd put your sleeves, and then they'd put the rod in the other section. We had it all worked out, floor after floor after floor. Electrician flies all of his stuff up, lands it right where all that heavy rebar is supposed to go.
Oh my god.
And so, I figured it was an accident, called the electrician, said, hey, can you meet me up on 18 or whatever? Guy goes, okay. And he comes walking up, and I was like, all right, I'll just make up a name, Billy. I was like, Billy. I was like, I don't know what they were thinking. They put it all on this cantilever section. Let's do this. Just move it like 10 feet. I talked to the rebar guy. He said he can do this. Then you can slide it over, and then we'll do the rest. No, I'm not moving it. And I was
What?
like, what? I was like, you put it in the wrong spot. We've been doing this. Everybody's working together. Like I don't know what your problem is. I'm like, just move it.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
not moving it.
that's a
Right.
speed bump that can just be avoided.
Yeah, like this is just the kind of person he was. So I get into an argument with the guy, and the ironworker Stewart, who I was really close with, happened to be on the floor, and he's watching it. And like I used to like hang out with him after work, and he was a guy that I was still young at the time. He took me under his wing a little bit. And like back then, like if you picked up tools at all on the union job, they would be all over your ass, right? But he would have me out there, be like,
Right. Right.
here, he's like, grab a torch, do this, do that, you know what I mean? And like I was with him, so they'd leave me alone. And so this guy's being just a super dickhead. And I said, you know what, Billy? I was like, this is up to you at this point. You do what you want. I'm done here. I walk down the stairs, go into the field office. Next thing you know, he comes running into the office, and he's screaming, what the fuck? This and that. And he's like, look at, I was like, what are you talking about? They threw all my shit off the building. So he had all these like, because some of them are recessed lights to go in the slab. There was spools of MC cable. I mean, there was a lot. There was probably 10, 15, 20 grand worth of material. And there was a low roof on the fourth floor that was concrete. And then we were up on like 14 or 18. So they threw it 10 or 14 stories off the side of the building, destroyed it all. But then they had to pay for the pick because they were paying for the picks for the crane. And that's a couple grand too. They had no
Holy
material there.
shit.
They had to expedite everything. And it was
Don't
just
be
like,
an asshole.
don't be an, yes, thank you. It's the words I don't know. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
So yeah, as much as trades can be difficult, subs can be difficult. Like I loved them. I mean, I was able to learn so much. I feel like I'm talking too much here, but
No,
um,
not at all. What about, so how
float.
about like the fire protection subs particularly? They were the superior ones, right? This is like
You
a
know what I always thought was funny about the sprinkler fitters
yeah, what? Hit us.
was you'll be doing you'll be doing a high rise, and there's like 40 electricians, like 25 plumbers, 20 pipe fitters, like all this other stuff.
It's fucking
And then you call on the sprinkler fitter, like, you got to get guys here. Like, oh no, tell me when it's ready. And they'd like roll up in a truck with two guys. And
do
like,
the
be
whole
like, all
fucking
right,
thing.
yeah. I'm like, we got a 40-story building here. And they're like, yep, we're good. You know what I mean? And they roll up, and those motherfuckers were just fucking running out with two guys. I was like, I don't know how
I
they
c-
did it,
I
but
can't tell you how many jobs I did, just me and little Bobby. Just two of us, man. Like so many jobs. It's
hmm,
it's you can keep up. We can keep up.
Wow.
yeah. Or
Even
they
on the
would wait.
even on the big job, those numbers are similar. There's 150 electricians at the height, and there was 20 sprinkler fitters at the height.
Yeah. And that was probably a lot.
That's a lot. That's like the biggest crew
That's a lot.
anybody had ever heard of.
Yeah.
Anybody that was on that crew was like, wow, there's a lot of us here. Like we had to have different break rooms and shit.
Yeah. And then it would be, you'd always
Jeez.
be pushing them, be like, all right, the grid's in. Can you get started? No, it's not all in yet. I'm like, yeah, but you can start on this side. We're not going up there till it's all in. And then
Because they're
like,
gonna do it in a day.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, man, these guys are
Bang it
efficient.
out.
Yeah. By the
That's
way,
good.
I'm calling you from the home of 550, West Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
West
550,
I saw
baby.
the
Roxbury.
sticker behind you right now, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. They're right down
Yep.
the street.
That's
Yeah.
for the
Yep.
Hollis.
Hmm.
Man, that's cool. West Roxbury. So you're
So,
close.
oh yeah, yep. Yeah,
When
so
did you go out on your own?
5 years
Hmm.
ago, just about like within, I don't know the exact date, but within a week or so.
Oh,
How was
wow.
that? Like
Congratulations.
just
That's
like
awesome.
making that leap.
That's a milestone.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is.
It's always nerve wracking, but I didn't, I wasn't too worried. I think I had been doing things enough and had enough relationships with people, and I had enough people reaching out, asking me for stuff before I left.
Mm.
So I knew there was something there, and I was excited about um, trying out like the marketing stuff, inbound marketing, and all the stuff that I found fascinating and was using a little bit, even when I was a building inspector and when I worked at the AGC. I was kind of testing out those concepts, and I could see that they worked, and I was getting some interest. So, I felt comfortable that the work was there, but I did it at, you know, 43 years old or
It
whatever it
always
was.
it always seems risky no matter what, right?
Yeah,
But you're happy you did it.
Right.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Teague says 30 porta johns. That's about right. So on the hospital jobs, we have temporary
44
bathrooms
show.
in the permanent locations. We had some pretty good bathrooms. I'm not gonna lie. On the big high rise jobs, what do you think, Joe? How'd they do the bathrooms where you were? So Joe, if anyone's joined us, we got 9 viewers now. We didn't really have many viewers when Joe was explaining who he was. Joe, this is Joe. He's out my way in Massachusetts. You can find him on Mass Construction on Instagram, and he's basically the quick version is he's a GC. He was a GC, and now he's out on his own,
yeah. Doing code consulting,
code consulting.
a lot of fire safety stuff, so it overlaps with the sprinkler world with impairment plans and stuff like that. So all
Which
your
those are.
content where I'm watching you turn up heads and
Oh yeah, it's ever changing. The
yeah, what the hell
241 and
did
now the two. What had
yes,
just happened with the 241 plan? It's different now. Like uh,
they just adopted a new version of it. But one thing for your folks is it's going to open the door to sprinklers being installed as the site goes on. Potential, not in all cases, but more likely in wood frame construction. And they need to do this thing called like a fire exposure analysis.
Mhm.
And depending on what that fire exposure analysis says, they might need to start installing sprinkler systems as the building goes up, which happened over in South Bay, which is a section of Boston where they had a large wood frame building. And what they did was they ended up putting in a dry system, heated the room, just the fire pump room, brought in a phone line so they had monitoring, just probably just a flow switch being monitored or whatever. And then they would shut it during the day while they were there. At night, they would pressure test it. If it held, they'd turn it on and it would be active at night. And they did that as the building went up. It was
so
it was pretty much
so
a
you're
success.
draining it and adding to it every day. You're essentially draining it
Well, they
and
were keeping it dry.
building it more. Yeah,
Yeah, they
okay.
were keeping it dry so they didn't have to drain it.
Well, draining the air out and then like
Yeah.
essentially
Oh,
building
yes.
on a little bit more and then refilling it with the air. So
Yep.
that's a major time consumption for me. I'm losing hours. That just sounds like a loss of hours.
Yep. Definitely a
It's a lot of
cost.
work,
The
a lot of extra work.
A lot of extra work, I should say.
Yeah.
lot of extra work. Um, like you said, testing it every night before you're livening it up. And then also that was a job that probably would have been, well, that definitely would have been CPVC,
Mm.
but they couldn't pressurize it, so they had to switch it to steel. So there's cost there.
So you make
You know,
double right there, triple right there.
yeah. So there's definitely a cost associated with it, but they got it down to a pretty good system. But I'll tell you this much for the sprinkler fitters listening, that's the way it's going.
That's what I like it. I like the sound of it because it sounds like more work.
Yeah. And I mean, you experience it already, right? Where now you have the temp pressurized standpipes going
That
in during
yeah,
construction,
yeah. So
right?
to do a high rise, I don't know if you'd be able to like do what you're saying on a fast pace, say like a Turner Construction. That's like a big pusher for me. I work for them and they'll it's tough to keep up with those schedules. Never mind try to get shit active at the end of the day and then still keep up. Just put in that temporizer.
Yeah, you're doing steel and concrete. Probably not going to need it,
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you did say wood.
but it's going to be the wood frame.
Hmm.
So we're talking, up to 6 stories, but you start getting real big footprints on those. Um,
Really, on wood frames.
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah,
think they were doing that on large structures.
They have. So we were a part of a couple of them, and what they do is they do concrete and steel for maybe a floor or two, and then that gives them, I don't know, gives them way much more room to grow. They'll do as
yeah.
much wood as they can. Say they want 10 stories, they're gonna go up as much as they can with steel and concrete, and then they'll do wood.
This is going to be less of a substantial building, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah. I want an
those
all steel
materials are not
building.
as strong.
Yeah, I mean, I walk around them and I wouldn't want to live in them. Like I joke, I call them like particle board palaces.
They are. It's all particle
You know,
board, and they all get
and you,
flooded when it rains and they're in the building and everything.
yeah, there's mold issues. There's like I'm walking through some of them and it's wet. It's wintertime, so it's all icing up. So they're putting ice melt on top of the OSB,
And the
and it's
yeah,
just
and the fall of
rotting it
particle board.
away, and it's falling apart. It's like it's yeah. I'm not crazy about it. I mean, some people you can do it better ways,
Yeah.
but the funny thing is why they do that podium is um, they actually deem that a separate building. So the concrete building underneath, what they call around here, they'll call it a podium, but you build 1 or 2 stories concrete. You have a 3 hour separation, and they consider that a separate building on top of it.
Oh wow.
Therefore, you can have a higher building, but yet only have what would be considered like a 4 story wood building on top of
Oh,
that concrete. So maybe you couldn't build a 5 story or 6 story wood, but you can build a 4 story. So they stick it on top of a podium. And there's a really weird building code path to get to it. But
loophole, so to speak.
yeah, yeah.
What's up from the night shift? Foreman Teague. What up? Working right now, huh? Damn, someone's got to do it.
Who's the guy
Night
from Long
shift.
Island you had on? Is that him?
No, no, that's Sal.
Yeah,
I
he was good.
don't know if Sal does Sal chat? I don't know if Sal's in the chat. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like Sal. I talk with Sal a lot. I talk with a lot of you guys a lot. I enjoy the conversation.
yeah. I liked him. I also like the one where you guys just pulled up random tools.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was with J Mac.
Man, I missed that one. I wanted to
Oh
do that one
yeah,
so bad.
we could do another one. I have some. I'll bring in a whole nother bag.
Well, I have my bag too, you know.
Oh yeah, like the inspector's bag. That's the thing. We got
And
to
we can
do the
go through.
Inspector Gadget bag. Yeah, I mean,
I got all kinds
send
of
us
stuff.
ideas. We'll do anything.
I
Really
can go
just
get my bag right now. We haven't done my bag.
go run and get it.
All
How
right,
far? How far?
I do pretty much everything with that
How
bag.
far
I'll be
is
right
it? You
back.
want to time you? Want us to time you?
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I'm not even, uh, you know,
Ready, set, go. Oh
yeah, it's
shit.
funny. I'm not in the trades. I'm not a sprinkler fitter, but I was sitting there. I'm like, oh shit! Like the level that you had that screwed into the fitting. I was like, that's genius, right?
Genius. Like, there's so many of us out there. They're like, we could have fucking been millionaires from this, but we're just, let somebody else do it, bastards.
You want to laugh? You want to see how old I am?
Oh jeez.
I got this on my shelf here.
Oh my goodness. I worked with a guy.
And
Like this is recently. This is like within 5 years.
he was
And
pulling out the plumb
and
bob.
Buddy had a plumb bob with a stick and fucking rope, and he had it in his pocket, and he's out there. This is an old. This is an old timer. I'm pretty sure he's retired now, but Buddy's
Yeah,
got it. He's got it. His level was inch and a half, and he needed to have an inch and a half level, and he like fucking. He's holding it up there to try to measure the center of a head, and I'm like, I don't know, bud. I pull out my grid stick with the laser. I'm like, check this fucking thing out. He's like, yep, done. I don't know about your plumb bob. You gotta you need 3 arms to use a plumb bob, right? How you gonna hold it and measure it and
yeah. It's a challenge, but yeah, that was the way we were doing layout when I started. So
fucking
that's
plumb bob? It's
yeah,
crazy. I have one. I have one in the van in case I need it. I just never need it because I got a plumb laser and I got a line laser and I got a grid stick laser. That was pretty quick. I didn't really time you.
I'm out of breath. I ran.
All right. What do we got, Brian?
All right, let's do this.
All right, the inspector gadget bag. What do you got in
Yeah.
there?
So bring the light in here.
Oh wow, all
So it's
right.
just a 2 pouch. So I got my main compartment here, and then I have my small. This is my. So we do building reports. So it's an inspection program.
Build the
It's,
bunker. It's Dan
it
Creed.
goes
What
off
up,
of
Dan?
barcodes.
Oh, there he is.
So each item. So it could be like control valve, tamper,
Oh, okay, that's
drain, water flow.
I'm familiar with those. And you stick them on, then
Yeah,
you can scan them later.
right. So that's our reporting system. I
Smart.
keep I keep mainly yellow tags for my inspections. So yellow's non-compliant, and then green's compliant. I usually always find something.
Hmm. Good to know.
I'm usually always running with,
If you
and
got
this is what I recommend for all companies: plastic tags, not paper tags. Plastic.
you got a red for shut it down?
Oh yeah, but I usually keep it in the truck.
That's like the one you keep in your sock, Bry, right?
Yeah, you familiar with this?
Oh, the hole punch? And you hole punch the plastic things? The plastic
Yeah,
tags?
industrial hole puncher.
Wow, you're kind of fucking, you're
Yeah,
like, I like it. This is different.
this
Okay,
thing's heavy duty, man.
so you're
I
just
have two
punching
different
holes. You don't need
kinds.
a marker. You don't need a pen. You just punch a hole in that little card. I think you're gonna have to waste one of them cards and give us a couple holes. Give us a couple hole. Fill one of them babies out. Let's see it. Come on.
So the thing is, you can't really see it. Like there's no holes. So
What? Yeah, I see it. I can already see the holes, I think. Does it not make a hole or it makes an indent?
yeah, it makes a hole.
Oh yeah. That's epic.
So I'm saying is like you can't really see where you're punching. You just kind of have to envision where this is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Let's see.
punched quite a few of those holes.
Yeah, this is where I keep my sharpies, my pens, and then this is for when I'm gonna mainly disabling uh, fire alarm panels. So
Oh,
like next or
you got that little screwdriver? You're the fire alarm guy, huh? See, we're not allowed to do that in Boston, Massachusetts.
yeah, we can. You got well, you're not a fire alarm guy, but these are all my keys.
So I got all those keys. I'm just not a fire
Yeah,
alarm guy.
so I go in there. It's just well, usually when they send me for inspections, there's no like second guy. That's it.
For everybody watching, don't turn off the fire alarm panel, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave that for Brian.
You got
Yeah,
what do you got? Wire strippers?
yeah.
Holy shit, you're an electrician?
No, but sometimes I work
I mean, that's an electrician's
or
tool
I
if I've ever
install
seen it in
or
my
if it's
life.
like
I've never seen that in a sprinkler guy's bag.
yeah, well, if a water flow switch isn't working right or a tamper switch isn't working, and I
I
need
gotta
to
call in the local
fix it.
103, baby, IBEW.
And then also too, the big thing is, so according to code, you keep the acceptance inspection tag, which is never there, and then the previous 2 years. So when there's like a riser with like a Christmas tree of tags, I just go in there and I use this to, take all the tags off.
I gotcha.
Try to make it look good,
The tag
right?
remover.
Or if there's a seal,
You
I
need a
cut the
pocket
seal.
protector for all those pens.
So I
He,
think they look cool,
he's an un, he's an
So
you're an
trade them.
undercover Sparky. I think the same thing, Teague.
Oh, for my
Yeah,
pins.
a sprinkler fitter with a hole punch and a wire stripper. This is a new one.
Sprinkler. Holy
Got my
shit, keep it
gloves.
going. What else? Oh, you got Maxi Flex? Are those the Maxi
Maxi
Flex,
Flex,
kid?
baby.
I seen them before you pulled
Yeah.
them out. I like those. Those are
These
the
are the
best glove.
best.
So, fun fact, I was wearing those gloves when I stuck my hand in the snowblower. So this is back in the drinking days, as you can imagine. The snowblower stuck. I went right down the chute, and no, those gloves saved these fingers from, I don't know, it's not falling off. True story.
Wow.
Maxi Flex. Those are the best gloves. And the trick to do with
All right, so
those is you put them in with your work clothes and you wash them,
I
and
could do
you
like
could do that a couple times.
90%. I could do like 90% of everything with these three tools.
Damn, kid, look at that.
Yeah. So I prefer this for control valves.
A steel?
And yeah. So
Really?
when I'm
Is that a 10?
Yeah, this is a 10.
Damn.
So I just put it on the wheel and I can crank on it.
I think you could get a 10 aluminum and be just as good. And you could save like
This is just what they go
4 pounds.
a lot.
Huh?
How about you just not be a pussy, Bobby? All right, and
No, I
carry
like
steel.
aluminum, kid. Come on, new school. So those wrenches came out like in the 60s. So that thing's fucking older than you. I like to
Yeah,
use the
I
wrenches
love
that
them, man.
came
I
out
love this
like,
thing.
new school.
No, well, that's just what the company gave me. They handed me
I
this
know.
10, and
I'm just
that's what
fucking
I
with you.
use.
I would say, yeah, so I need an aluminum of every size, please.
But this is like my favorite. I love this thing. I use it so much for inspections.
Yeah, no, I'm talking my shit, but I have that same thing, just 8 inch. I carry my 8 inch around steel because they don't make an aluminum one of those. I bought an aluminum China 8 inch and it didn't last like a day. What'd you say?
So usually dry valves. So usually dry valves, I do not use an impact. Like today, I was doing 5 years on like 3 different buildings with lots of wet systems. So I was using an impact just because it's faster. But usually I'll put the wrench on a bolt and I'll just bang it and then it'll get loose. And that's how I operate all the bolts.
With
And
the
that's how I've been doing
adjustable,
it for a long
baby.
time.
Darian, what
So,
up?
and then when I take off the faceplate, this is like basically my chisel, my wedge.
All that modeling, now we see why. We think you're a undercover Sparky, Brian.
Sparky. Tape, baby.
Oh, tape. Oh, you gotta get a little can of dope in there.
Hey,
Yeah, a
by
little
the
tiny
way,
can of
the
dope.
name,
Huh? I need
by
a
the way,
push
the
pop.
name is perfect.
Dope and tape, you like it?
Dope and Tape is a great name. As soon as I heard it, that I'm like, that is fucking brilliant. Great marketing. I
Thank
was like,
you.
Dude, we
Love
were
it.
coming up with names, and I was like, "What about dope and tape or something like that?" And then Bobby was like, "Yeah, dope and tape." I was like, "Okay, cool, let's run it." It was
Dope and
that
tape.
fast.
I'm like, it's only good though. Like if you, I'm like, do you do dope and tape? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I do too, religiously. He's like, all
but
right. Well, I'm like, that's
I
it
was
then.
thought I thought you weren't supposed to do both. Thought you were supposed to do one or the
Nah,
other.
that's a myth that some guys just hold to themselves.
Okay.
Do
Now
do
Bobby does put dope on his sprinkler heads, and I don't.
they make so now you got to put the right dope. Definitely don't super dope them. You should never be super doping heads.
Okay, so
Um,
I only tape.
but I use super dope on all my 1 inch.
I need like since I got the tape, I need like a push pop, like a dope push pop. I
A
just
dope
load it up
push pop.
with dope, and I just like push a little bit out.
All right, stop talking about it. Someone's gonna invent it, and then that's our chance to not be. Like he was
Oh,
just
here's another some more gloves.
2 pairs of gloves in there. Oh, one pair gets wet. They're
Oh,
done.
Apparently,
it- you know what? You know what I liked that you had, Bobby,
What is
was
it?
that I've seen the stoppers with the sprinkler heads going off.
Yep.
I've seen them like the vice grip ones, but you had one that was like a little cock and gun.
Yeah, that's
I was like,
cool.
that's a great idea. You can build up the pressure, and then it's just like,
I wanna say I got that on a Walsh job.
there
I
you
think
go,
I got that on a Walsh job,
Dan's job. Got it
like
on Dan's
from
job.
yeah, because there was one job we did, and I'm on a hospital job, so sometimes you go on those jobs and there's like they have them hanging from the walls all over. I'm like, oh, this thing's cool. I need this. I'm gonna take this.
Hmm.
And I kept it. I never got to use it, but I'm waiting for the day. I think that now with the G5 concealed head, it wouldn't work because the deflector comes down like fucking way down from where you would have to seal.
Hmm.
But I'll let you know.
how many of these do you have?
Oh,
Oh, my
I don't
company
do any work, and I've got 6 of them. So
my company buys them in red. We buy these specific red ones, and I
These things are awesome.
have a bunch of
they
them.
are awesome.
And then right here, uh, my
There
little
you go.
box cutter, safety blade, whatever you want to call it. I use this a lot actually.
Yep. So when I was doing the big job, I have one that actually has like a carabiner on the back, and I could clip the carabiner onto my belt loop, and then I have that thing just hanging there. That's the kind of screwdriver I got. I got like a, and then
Yeah,
I
and of
keep
course I
like the
have.
the orange one that you had that you just pulled out. That's the one I
Yeah.
hand to the apprentice, and then I have that one for me.
Oh, I got you. You have one of these?